Gator fans some 5 hours before kickoff here tonight. And now nary an empty seat in the house at this spectacular first-year venue in the suburbs of Phoenix, Arizona, in Glendale, Arizona. Coach, get back to something we talked about during the pregame show. 51 days off since Ohio State played last in beating Michigan. Florida has played twice since that time. Is that a factor tonight?
It has to be addressed. You have to address that. What Ohio State and Jim Tressel have done is sell their players. They believe in the plan that he's given them. They've gone good against good. They think they've kept up tempo, but I know in the back of his mind, he wants to set the what I call set the pads. He wants to get out there and get hit and get a flow of the game and get a feel for this game.
The Florida defensive coordinators reminded us that every big game Ohio State has played in over the last 3 years, they start with something different on offense.
Yeah, it's always been a different wrinkle. You never know if they're going to come out 3 wides, 4 wides, 5 wides. Are they going to try and run the ball a little bit different? Who knows? We'll find out soon.
Joey Ehas bangs it away, and this is Ted Ginn Jr. Out across the 20, slips a couple of tackles, and Ginn down the sideline will race to the end zone. What a start for Ohio State. So much for 51 days off.
This is how you solve it. Both teams take pride in their special teams, and Ohio State obviously with the huge play early. Reggie Nelson right there had an angle for a moment. Ted Ginn got to the sideline and essentially outran it from behind. Great blocking from his front wall.
Aaron Petrie for the point after, and just like that, 16 seconds run off the clock for Ted Ginn Jr., a 93-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. The first kickoff return for a touchdown by the Ohio State Buckeyes this season. And what a time to get your first.
Absolutely. You talk about speed, and all we hear about is Southeast Conference speed, but there are too many people stacked on top of each other in the middle. Too many on top of each other. The kickoff team out of their lanes.
Looked like a Heisman Trophy winner from Ohio State was pretty happy with that. Eddie George joining our Fox crew this evening.
Well, Urban Meyer prides himself on special teams. He coaches the special teams. We saw him coaching little things the other day at practice. He's got to settle his team down. It's a shocker right now. Guys, let's just settle down. Let's go back to work. Let's turn right around and let's see if we can get something back up the field. Let's get some field position.
To me, it's as simple as this. Next play, guys. You've got to let that one go. We'll correct it on the sidelines, talk to the coaches. Next play. Don't let that one affect our kickoff return.
But now dropping back for the Gators, number 25, Brandon James, a true freshman. And he is a dart. Watching him in practice the other day, none of his teammates could stay with him. A line drive kick. James on one hop from his own 5 out across the 20. And he has daylight. And is tackled by the kicker out at the 38-yard line. And it looked like Mr. Petrie got a piece of the face mask.
That's the answer that Urban wanted.
Exactly.
That's field position right back. Now let's go to work, guys.
That's why you tell them next play. Come right back at them with the same stuff.
This is a Pac-10 officiating crew led by our referee Jack Folliard.
Personal foul, face mask, 15-yard run, first down.
Right to the left of your screen. You see him grabbing right there and dragging him down. Looks like Percy Hartman's going to open in the backfield, time number 8.
The Florida quarterback, 21-year-old Charlotte, North Carolina native Chris Lee. His 4th year as a Gators starting quarterback. a 34-12 career record. That's the freshman Harbin in motion, and they get him the football immediately. And he is stopped at the 41-yard line, a gain of 5. Tackled there by the first-team All-American James Laurinaitis. Very young up front for the Gators. What a challenge they face in this Ohio State defensive front tonight. Weapons everywhere. Deshaun Wynn, the only player on the Gator roster from Ohio.
They have opened this game without a traditional tailback, all wide receivers and a fullback.
Malcolm Jenkins shows blitz, and he's coming. Leak rolling to the right. The catch is made, but short of the first down is Jamel Cornelius, the fifth-year senior from Fort Meade, Florida. The Buckeyes allowed just 10 points per game on defense this season after losing 9 of their 11 starters from last year. The only returning starters, Quinn Pitcock, a first-team All-American, and David Patterson. Laurinaitis, we talked about him. Curtis Terry starts for the injured John Kerr. And in the secondary, Antonio Smith waited 3 years after walking on at Ohio State, and he's become their leader as an all-Big Ten performer. 3rd down and 3.
Not a rundown ever for Florida with the lack of a good tailback.
Leak throws, catch is made, and it's short of the first down. That's Dallas Baker. It's very, very close depending on the spot. And that spot looked pretty generous. It might be good enough to move the chains.
He did give him a good spot.
My initial thought was that he did not have a first down from where he landed. So I agree, it's a terrific spot for the Florida Gators. Dallas Baker coming back for the football made it closer than what it probably should have been.
Chris Leak holds Florida school records for passing yards, completions, and attempts, second only to Danny Werfel with 87 touchdown passes. He's come under tremendous fire from the Gator fans, many of whom want to see Tim Tebow, and we will see Tim Tebow tonight. They hand it off to Wynn. Cuts it back to the inside. And he's down to the 33-yard line and tackled by number 33, Laurinaitis. Time to take a look at our forward keys to the game.
The illusion is Tim Tebow and the wide receivers will be the running game and get out fast. They want to get on the board first. That didn't happen because of the return. Defensive discipline for Ohio State and solid tackling after a 51-day layoff. Getting backing, as you said, Coach, setting the pads and being in proper hitting position. So key against a very quick Florida team.
Ohio State wants to make sure that defensively that they're sound in everything they do. They're seeing some things new. You really can't replicate that in practice.
Leak dumps it off to his fullback, Latsko. He has a first down to the 22-yard line. Billy Latsko, a fifth-year senior, whose grandfather, Bill Latsko, was the quarterback for the Gators back in 1940. And here comes Tim Tebow in the game for the first time. The heralded true freshman from Jacksonville. In fact, Tebow has come in, and so too in the game is Chris Leak. We saw this at practice 2 days ago.
Remember what we saw with Boise State, where they would motion a quarterback out and then have the tailback take it. Tim Tebow is a true quarterback doing that tonight.
Tebow to run it up the gut. And he's to the 14-yard line.
They use Tim Tebow is just like a running back. He is the running game, not the tailback. He is the key to their run attack.
And watch where he's going to go, straight ahead, right at him. Just lets the lineman push the defensive lineman where they want to go, and he goes straight up. Nice trap block inside by the Florida offense.
You actually outnumber the defense with that, with a fullback carrying empty backfield. You outnumber the defense out front, and you have a 235-pound tailback, in this case, running the football.
Gain of 7 for Tebow, who was the Gators' second leading rusher during the season. And Leak out of the shotgun, throws, caught by Dallas Baker. Touchdown, Gators. Saddle up, boys and girls. We had a wild one here 7 nights ago.
Some early fireworks, boys.
And how about Florida on that one? Great sequence of play calling by Urban Meyer and his offensive coordinator, Dan Mullen. on the touchdown, overloaded to one side and came back to the single receiver side for the score.
You know, you can practice all you want with your scout team, but they cannot simulate the speed of the shape of the different formations and the motions that you're going to get in the game.
7 plays, 46 yards. Leak hit on 5 of 5. We are tied at 7. Home from a long day's work. Welcome. This was the opening kickoff. Ted Ginn Jr. racing 93 yards. His second career kickoff return for a touchdown. He's brought back 6 punts for touchdowns. And then after the great return by James, the face mask penalty capped off with a touchdown throw from Leak to Dallas Baker. And all is even and all is right again for Urban Meyer.
And a terrific start for Florida's offense, getting Chris Leak off early. As you know, in this ball game, they want to make sure their senior leadership came to the front.
Anthony Gonzalez tackled at the 23-yard line, so only an 8-yard return that time. Good special teams coverage. Tackle made by Riley Cooper. We're back to Arizona in a minute. A 7-7 game, 10-21 still to play in the opening quarter, and now we get a look at the Heisman Trophy winner, Troy Smith. 25-2 his record as a Buckeyes starting quarterback, including 10-1 against ranked teams, 3-0 against Michigan, and a winner in his only bowl start last year here in Arizona against Notre Dame. Play fake to Pittman. Smith throws, and great coverage by Tremaine McCollum. We had an eye on Ted Ginn Jr. We look at the Buckeyes up front. Big, strong, athletic. Dadish, a third-year starter, moves to center after playing tackle. Pittman back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons. The dynamic duo, they call him in Columbus, of Anthony Gonzalez and Ted Ginn Jr. Jim Tressel, 54 years old, raised in Berea, Ohio. The 6th year at Ohio State has already won a national championship. 5 wide receivers for Troy Smith, and he's going to run it. And not much room. Jarvis Moss and Brandon Seiler there to make the stop. A dynamite front 4 for the Gators. The best Ohio State has played this year. Harvey leads them in sacks with 8. Seiler, his job tonight to spy Troy Smith for plays just like that. And in the secondary, keep an eye on number 1, Reggie Nelson, a first-team All-American.
Let's watch as we go through the game. You have 6 defensive linemen that will continually substitute themselves. Greg Madison, the defensive line coach, allows them to go. He wants them to go as hard as they can. When they're tired, they self-substitute.
Here's where you watch for number 11. And sacked from behind is Smith by Derek Harvey. A most impressive opening stand defensively for the Florida Gators.
And the reason Derek Harvey was able to get there, actually 2 reasons. 1, his speed and skill, but 2, the secondary. The coverage back here was so good, he had nowhere to go with the ball. Did you see him clutch twice? Once, twice, thinking he's going to throw it, then Harvey gets to it. Credit the nickel secondary. 5 defensive backs clamping down on Ohio State's wide receivers early.
A.J. Trapasso, the sophomore from Pickerington, Ohio, is the Ohio State punter. The Gators figured a good field position. James comes up to get it from his own 40. And he's out to midfield. So the first Florida drive started at the Ohio State 46. This one will start at midfield, and a late flag comes in well after the whistle had been blown. This may go against Ohio State.
Tom, what I saw late was an Ohio State player take out a Florida player. Should be a personal foul.
You're right.
Florida takes the field again with a short field. The first touchdown was on a short field.
And after this call,
After the play, personal foul, late hit on the kicking team, number 6. 15-yard penalty, first down.
That's Larry Grant.
Watch to the right of the screen, coming up right there. Larry Grant.
So So again, great field position for the Gators, looking for their first lead. The Gators on offense for the second time, starting a drive in Ohio State territory.
Let's see if they take a shot downtown right now.
And after a timeout, I wouldn't be surprised if they go with some type of a counter off of something they've shown already.
And Percy Harvin is taking the snap. And he's going to run it. Trying to stretch it to the outside, and he is leveled by Marcus Freeman. Boy, Percy Harvin, a true freshman out of Virginia Beach, Virginia. Only 18 years young, the MVP of the Southeastern Conference Championship game. He rushed for better than 100 yards. At 62 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. He is something.
He's a Reggie Bush type back. They want to use him like USC used Reggie Bush. They want him all over the field. They want the ball in his hands.
A lot more like Reggie with the Saints this year, more as a receiver, but from the running back position, averaging over 11 yards per carry.
Leak back in there out of the shotgun. A little delay to Deshaun Wynn. Still on his feet and tackled inside the 30 to the 28-yard line. Let's send it downstairs to Chris Myers.
Tom, the Gators, one of those teams that script their first dozen or so offensive plays well in advance, and Urban Meyer wanted Chris Leak more involved. He visited his friend and coaching confidant Bill Belichick with the Patriots, saw Tom Brady run the Thursday quarterback meeting and game plan meeting all by himself, and he said, our guy can do that. He put Chris Leak in charge, and ever since it's worked out well. And so far, for the offense anyway, the script looks pretty good.
Empty set. See if they come after him right here, Tom.
That's Wynn in motion, and Leak rolls right. Open receiver. Catch is made by Cornelius Ingram. He's inside the 10, close to the 5. A gain of 20.
You know what I'm most impressed with right now with Florida? We watched them in warm-ups, and it seems as if their offense was very jittery. The ball was on the ground a lot. They had trouble snapping the ball out of shotgun, but so far they've been very crisp and very precise, and Chris Leak is really on his game as a thrower right now.
Boy, is he ever. He's hit on 6 of 6 for 55 yards. He's connected with 5 different receivers, but he's on the sideline. Tebow comes in first and goal at the 7.
Might show a little option pass here out of him. They're used to him running it.
Tebow inside the 5. That ball came loose. Is it loose? No signal given by the officials.
If he's down, no one made a definite call that we saw.
And still no firm indication from a member of this Pac-10 officiating crew. Apparently they're going to spot the ball at the 4, or are they?
Ruled down.
There you have it. We thank Jack Folliard, our referee.
Same play we saw him run the first time, just trapped it to the other side as he's going down. Ball being tugged on, see the knees and down, and then the ball is pulled out by number 55, Curtis Terry.
No, we've noticed a lot of plays that he carries. There's always a discussion whether it's a fumble or not at the end of the play.
Leak back in, empty backfield, 5 wide receiver set. I don't think anybody's covering 7.
He's got to slide out a little bit. The defensive back was showing blitz. Now he slid out into a spot.
The option. Sniffing the end zone. Did he get in? Touchdown! Percy Harvin. So thanks to good returns on a kick, later a punt, 2 key personal foul penalties by Ohio State coverage teams, short fields to work with for the Gators.
But real good execution. Offensively, they're executing. Charles, you mentioned that earlier. They were not crisp in pregame warm-up, but they have been clean and putting the ball in the freshman's hand.
There may be some kind of review taking place. In fact, there is, as Jack Folliard.
Nice option. You're going to see Percy Harvin, number 8, from right to left on your screen. He's the option back. And Tom, you said he was sniffing the end zone. Does he get in or not? And that's what they're reviewing right now. Did his knee go down before he stretched across?
We'll get a better look here. He's down.
Yeah, knee about the 2 or 3 yard line.
Yep, he's down. Now the question becomes, is there conclusive video evidence? I believe they're going to take away this touchdown.
I think I agree with you, Tom, and I think they'll put the ball probably, there's the knee down right there. So I think the ball's down on probably the 1 yard line or maybe inside of it. Probably down maybe a 1 foot line because of where he was falling forward.
This is strictly a booth review. I don't think Jim Tressel is challenging the call on the field.
No, what coaches can do, and coach, you know, no flags and hankies in the college game, right? But you can ask for a review, and one time during each half. And if it's upheld, you keep your timeout. If you don't, I see 2 knees down before he falls forward. If it's not upheld, you lose the timeout.
Right. But you know what? This is what's so good about the review that I like in college football. The officials up here
right there
have a chance to view it. If there's question, they'll stop the game and take a look at it.
It's awfully important right here, isn't it? Only the biggest game in the year. They better get it right. See, we're up here. We have Dave Perry, the National Supervisor of Officials, up here with us. After kind of talking with him, doing a little sign language.
Touchdown.
How about that?
Well,
I think we all got fooled on that one.
Fooled our booth.
I think we all got fooled.
All right. Chris Hetland, 5th-year senior, has had a rough season, hitting only 4 of 13 on field goal attempts this year. This, of course, is the extra point, and it is good. 5 plays. The Gators only had to go 34 yards. Florida, ranked number 2, leads number 1 Ohio State 14-7. We're back in Glendale, Arizona. The Florida Gators, with 5:51 to play in the opening quarter, lead Ohio State 14-7. Line drive kick. And again, it's Anthony Gonzalez from his own 5. Out across the 30. And Gonzalez covers that ball up, and a good return out to the 35.
Florida just trying to identify where Ted Ginn is and kicking away from him.
Well, what a great week we have had here in the Grand Canyon State. The color, the pageantry, the excitement, the enthusiasm of a BCS National Championship game.
Wow. This town got lively in the last 2 days, hasn't it?
About 3 bowl games for this town in the last 11 days, and the first 2 were absolutely sensational. We're off to a great start here in the 3rd one.
Ohio State out of the I formation. They'll give it to Antonio Pittman. And he's up to the 39-yard line, tackled by Ray McDonald. Ohio State on offense. Of course, they're led by the Heisman Trophy winner, Troy Smith. 30 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. His favorite target, his childhood friend. They went to church together in Cleveland. Ted Ginn Jr. And running back Antonio Pittman, the first Ohio State back since the great Eddie George, with back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons. He'll share time in the backfield with the true freshman, Chris Wells. Quick throw, that is Brian Hartline, the freshman. And he is close to a first down, maybe a yard short. Going out there to get him is Derek Harvey.
I think one of the questions Ohio State wants to answer early is how sharp will Troy Smith be early in the ball game. Heisman Trophy winners notorious for having to go to a lot of banquets and dinners and all that sort. I talked with Don McPherson, who finished 2nd in the Heisman at Syracuse. He said he hardly ever practiced before his bowl game. Ohio State says that Troy Smith only missed 3 days of practice, so he really shouldn't be anything less than sharp in this ball game.
A 2 tight end set, and they give it to Pittman, and he has the Buckeye first down up to the 47-yard line. That's one thing we certainly wondered about after visiting with both teams. Would Ohio State come out and try to get physical? And look now as Ted Ginn Jr. is limping off the field on his way to the Ohio State locker room. Let's send it downstairs for more on that with Chris Myers.
Tom, on the Ohio State sideline, they took off his left shoe, changed padding in his left foot, and there seems to be a problem with him stepping and leaning, putting pressure. They're taking him in to check on it.
Well, what a big blow that would be for Ohio State. Sacked is Smith again by Derek Harvey.
That was a four-man pressure, and that for Florida's defense to be able to get that type of pressure by only rushing four really allows them to do a number of things in the back end.
Well, this isn't good.
That is Derek Harvey.
He leads the Gators in sacks with 8 coming into the game, 3rd most in the Southeastern Conference on the year. That is already his 2nd sack in the game tonight.
Came into the season with 1 career sack. Watch to the right of your screen. He just takes Kirk Barton, number 74, and pushes him back into Troy Smith, separates, and then runs Troy Smith down. Came into the season with 1 career sack, ended up the season with 8 sacks, has 2 tonight. Not just speed on that play, but some power too, knocking the bigger Kirk Barton back into Troy Smith.
A great jump off the ball. Great first step, but he got up under him.
Low man wins, right? Isn't that
Absolutely.
What you always teach him?
And
low
separated, and then he used his feet.
You know,
boy, you hate to see such critical players for both teams. Ginn already has walked off the field, limped off the field, and now Harvey at least sitting up. We'll see how he's able to come off the field.
We certainly hope to have them both back quickly. But to your point, Coach, about the 4-man rush, and he'll run off to the cheers of the crowd, which is great to see. To your point about the 4-man rush, Charlie Strong, Greg Madison, the co-coordinators told us the best pressure they've gotten all year has been from their front. They've been able to get pressure without blitzing. So if they can continue to get that on Troy Smith and play coverage, they feel like they'll be in great shape this evening.
Stephen Harris, number 93, who plays a lot and has come on strong near the end of this season, will take over for Harvey.
Might have gotten Alex Boone, number 75, to jump. That's what Florida's going to claim.
Those tackles are sitting there, and they see the speed. They see the speed of the defensive ends, and he's trying to get a little jump on it.
Trying to set up quicker and get his first step out on a pass play.
Harvey being worked on.
So they're tightening up the shoulder pads a little bit.
This will be a 2nd down and 25 for Ohio State. Here we are with 3:15 to play in the opening quarter and not a single yard of offense for the Buckeyes. And they've already committed 3 penalties. Generally, they don't commit many penalties. Florida, one of the most penalized teams in the country. And Smith out of the shotgun. Great coverage downfield. Drops it off to Pittman. And he steps out of bounds at the 43-yard line. 3rd and long upcoming. For the Gators on defense, it all starts up front with their big 4. Moss, Harvey, Cohen, and McDonald. Brandon Seiler, their force in the middle. Their 2nd leading tackler. And then in the secondary, Ryan Smith and Reggie Nelson have a combined 14 interceptions. That's more than any secondary duo in college football. 3rd down and 14 for Ohio State.
It's a nickel package with 3 linebackers on the field with only 3 down linemen rushing.
And here comes an all-out blitz. And it is intercepted at the 28-yard line. That's Reggie Lewis.
Florida showed a 3-man rush, and then blitzed off the corner. Ohio State is 1 man short. They don't have enough people to block it.
Coming from this side, right at Troy Smith, right in his face. And the hit put on him, and Ryan Smith in terrific coverage. Tremaine McCullum, number 18, the nickel back. As you said, Coach, coming from the corner position, he worked inside to the slot, came right at Troy Smith, and disrupted the play. And Reggie Lewis, not Ryan Smith, with the football.
So now the Gators start this drive at their own 29-yard line. Inside handoff to Caldwell. Looked like he thought about throwing the ball. And he's out to the 32. It'll be a gain of 4, 2nd and 6. Our dramatic overhead shots of tonight's Tostitos National Championship are provided by the DLP Ultimate Picture Cam. DLP is the official high-def TV of the BCS on Fox. DLP, it's amazing. It's the mirrors.
Ohio State needs a stop on defense in order to get the entire team settled right now. Because Florida's had them on the run and actually has them playing back on their heels with all their motions and shifts and the way they're utilizing these wide receivers.
Leak has been perfect on his first 6 throws. He's still perfect. That's Ingram across midfield to the 47. What a start for the senior Chris Leak, who has come under so much fire from the Gator faithful.
And watch the route. It's going to come Ingram from the tight end position on your left. Works into the middle. And Leak with a beautiful throw inside of Marcus Freeman, number 1, and in front of Brandon Mitchell, number 32.
He's playing off his own coverage. We felt like he'd be a factor in this game. He is an unbelievable athlete. Former basketball player for the Gators.
Hey, those Hoopers can do it, can't they? They know how to do it on the campus of Gainesville.
Of course, Florida won the national championship in college basketball last year. Here's Leak under pressure this time, wide open. And all the way down to the 29 is Jamel Cornelius. And they're finding lots of holes in this Buckeye defense.
18 yards on that play. I am loving the play calling of Urban Meyer and Dan Mullen because they're showing everything right now. That was almost a little bit of a delay route, getting it into the gap. Looked like they were pushing them deep, threw it a little bit short after the receiver came out just a second late and found the dead spot in the zone.
Florida piling up the yards, and their defense thus far has silenced Ohio State on offense.
Bunch formation left. Now it's more of a bunch to the right side.
Option, Leak pitches to Harvin. Inside the 25, tackled at the 23. Stop made by the redshirt freshman Donald Washington. And our aerial coverage of tonight's Tostitos National Championship game is brought to you by Budweiser Select. What a fabulous venue, this University of Phoenix Stadium in the Phoenix suburb of Glendale, Arizona, which of course next year will be home to the Super Bowl.
Looks like Deshaun Wynn, number 21's back in the game, their true tailback. And when he's been in the game, they put the ball in his hands.
Little delay, it is Wynn. Trying to break it to the outside. And is shoved out of bounds by the safety, Brandon Mitchell. Loss of a yard, 3rd and 5 upcoming. Well, Ohio State allows only 10 points per game. The first time this season they've allowed 2 touchdowns in an opening quarter. Their special teams has a lot to do with that so far tonight.
They have, and Ohio State's not used to playing from behind, and this defense has been on the field quite a few snaps.
One of our early keys, Florida playing fast and getting out on top, and that's what they've done.
3rd and 5, they need to get to the Ohio State 19. Leak steps up, throws, and very close to a first down is Andre Caldwell, the junior from Tampa, Florida, who threw a touchdown pass in that SEC championship game, and they will move the sticks again. And how sharp is Chris Leak and this Gator offense?
Look at that. 8 different players with touches already, averaging nearly 8 yards per play. The wide receivers of Florida, they call themselves the Goons. After the movie The Goonies in the 80s, everyone all together, kind of a band of brothers. They felt that they were not getting enough credit compared with the Ohio State receivers. They're obviously out to prove their point this evening.
9s are wild for Leak. 9 attempts, 9 completions, 99 yards. Win in motion, the option, and now the reverse. Coming the other way to Caldwell. All the way down, he leaps his way to the 7th.
An offense like this really, at times, can put a defense back on its heels. You have so many looks. It appears as though they're having problems matching up with all the different personnel groupings coming into the game. But there's so much being thrown at them. Many times you can be back on your heels and not as crisp and not as aggressive as usual.
What they've done is they've slowed Ohio State's defense down to where they're thinking instead of reacting and playing. Cloudy mind equals slow feet, and that's what's happening with Ohio State right now.
First down and goal. We're down to the final 10 seconds here in the opening quarter. And Leak to throw it. And just throws it away. Clock stops with 5 seconds left in the quarter. Leak under pressure from the sophomore Lawrence Wilson out of Akron, Ohio.
That may have been his first incompletion of the evening, but it may be his best pass of the evening because he did the right thing. Got rid of it, didn't take the sack, no loss of yardage, and here comes the hammer now at quarterback number 15, Tim Tebow.
And you ain't lying.
He is big.
Hey.
I couldn't get over how big he was when you see him in person.
And, you know, he lifted with the linemen when he first reported to campus. They had to back him off a little. He get up to about 250.
Tebow looking for a hole. He is tackled down to the 3-yard line by Jamario O'Neal, and that will be the final play of the opening quarter. The Florida Gators ranked number 2 in front of number 1 Ohio State. We're back after a word from your local Fox station. BCS National Championship game. The Gators 3rd and goal at the Buckeye 2-yard line. And Leak under center.
Look at that. They're showing 3 in the backfield, full heavy set. See if they go with some type of run-pass option with Leak.
They give it to Wynn. And the kid from Cincinnati gets into the end zone. A 10-play drive capped off on a 2-yard run by Deshaun Wynn. And how about this?
Tell him, Coach, you thought that they'd hammer it with Tebow. Instead, you saw Wynn, and you said to me, hey, I think he's going to pound it.
Right now, they're doing whatever they want to do offensively.
So here we are through 1 quarter and 1 play. Ohio State has 1 first down. The Gators have 9, and they have 3 touchdowns.
Look at what they did with 2 fullbacks in the ball game. They used number 42, Billy Latsko, number 29, Eric Rutledge, and they led with Deshaun Wynn, pounded into the end zone.
Now you sit back and wonder about that 51 days. I know Jim Tressel and his staff did not want to use that as an excuse, and you can't let that enter your players' minds, but the fact is, we haven't seen Ohio State play like this all year.
See, the average has been 39 days in their bowl trips under Jim Tressel in terms of time off. 39, then to 51. You're adding about 2 weeks on, a little bit different territory.
I had one like in the 2000 Rose Bowl. We had nearly 41 days off, 10 days less, and we played a sluggish first half.
Maurice Wells has dropped back, a Florida kid, taking the place of Ted Ginn Jr., who brought the opening kickoff in this game back 93 yards for a touchdown. And Joey Ehas with a bouncing ball that is picked up by Roy Hall, wide receiver, and he brings it out to the 35-yard line. Time to take a look at our Dodge game summary. Boy, who would have thought that? The Buckeyes only 1 first down. You're talking about a team that averages almost 40 points per game and over 400 yards of offense per game. And Leak has been lights out.
0 rush yards for Ohio State. Coming into the game, everyone thought Ohio State had a huge advantage in running the football with Antonio Pittman and Chris Wells.
Short drop, Smith under pressure again and throws, and was the catch made? Yes, it was, on the far side by the redshirt freshman Brian Hartline, but a penalty flag is on the field. Right around the area where Troy Smith threw it. This might be a personal foul.
Yes, be roughing.
Yep. Boy, that's silly if you're a Gator.
They had gained the advantage in penalties against Ohio State. That's kicking one back to the Buckeyes.
It's important for Ohio State's offense to stay on the field here. Not only because of the score, but you've got to give your defense a rest. You've got to give
15-yard penalty is tapped on at the end of the play. First down.
Take a look, number 91 and then number 40, Seiler, at the end of the play is the one who picks up the penalty. See Harvey chasing him and Seiler banging him at the end. Referee right on top of it, Jack Folliard.
And after the 12-yard completion to Hartline, they march all the way down to the Florida 36-yard line. You hear it all the time about field position and penalties, and a lot of us saying coach speak. How important have those two areas been tonight?
Both of these, Urban Meyer and Jim Tressel, have both been schooled in field position football. Regardless of what offense you run, it's about field position.
Empty backfield, Smith with lots of room to run. And the Heisman Trophy winner steps out of bounds inside the 25 to the 23. First down, Ohio State. A gain of 13. Let's send it downstairs to Chris Myers.
Tom, the Buckeyes moving without Ted Ginn Jr. He remains in the Ohio State locker room. They were wrapping his left ankle, checking for further damage. The trainer ran back out, grabbed some different insoles, different types of shoes to try to get him back on the field. Unofficially right now, they hope that he'll be able to return. We just don't know when.
There you get a look at his father, a legendary high school football coach at Glendale High School outside of Cleveland, who's been a great mentor not only to his son, but to quarterback Troy Smith. And that's Antonio Pittman. He carries down to the 17-yard line. Get a look at the rushing yards for Ohio State. Certainly one thing to keep in mind for many who follow the pro game. In the college game, if you're sacked, they take the yards off rushing yards. In the pro game, it comes off the passing yards.
We've seen 2 sacks already of Troy Smith tonight, which has hurt that average. But he will need to use his legs, as he did on a couple of plays ago, to sting him.
Antonio Pittman again, and he breaks it to the outside. Cuts it back, touchdown, Pittman! Antonio Pittman from Akron Bucktel High School, his 14th rushing touchdown this season. And now the Buckeyes get a little momentum.
And get a chance to exhale a little bit, as everyone was getting uptight because of the way the score was going, the way the game was going. That was a very settling drive for Ohio State, aided by the early penalty against Florida.
Petrie the point after, and it is good. 21-14, Florida. This is Ohio State power football.
Watch to the left side. Bang. Great blocking up front, and then Pittman bends it back and dives into the end zone.
Got great blocks from wide receivers Gonzalez and Robisky. Ginn Jr. has made his way out of the Ohio State locker room, and his daddy wants to know, how's he doing?
Oh, Coach. Coach wants him back there.
And Coach better get an answer, too.
Booming kick by Petrie. And it's through the end zone, so the Gators will get it out to the 20. We have 13:27 to play until halftime. And it's been a wild start at 21-14 Florida. Our aerial coverage of tonight's Tostitos National Championship game is brought to you by Budweiser Select.
This is a very important series for the Ohio State defense. They haven't slowed Florida down yet. They have to have something for a series. They've got a little momentum. They've got to hang on to that momentum. And for confidence, they've got to be able to make a stop in on this defensive series.
Their offense gave them a spark. It's up to them to continue to ignite the flame.
Still the fullback in motion. Leak again rolls to the right and just throws it away. Nobody open. Was under pressure from the sophomore out of Detroit, Michigan, Vernon Golston. A linebacker turned defensive end, and they think he has a chance to be a great one. Complete control in this game for Florida.
You look at the ball control numbers, time of possession. People get hung up on that. but look at the number of plays that they've run. So many more than Ohio State. Ohio State lost a series on the kick return by Ginn. But thus far tonight, Florida's offense has controlled things for the most part.
And it's hard to do when you don't have a running game. But Urban Meyers has done an excellent job of incorporating short passing game and everyone in the running game.
Leak across the middle, catch is made, and we'll see on the spot. Forward progress appeared to get him to the 30 on the catch made by Jamel Cornelius. And according to our yellow line, it's good enough. It is.
Ohio State plays strictly zone defense. There are a lot of seams and open areas in zone defense. The Florida receivers are finding the soft spots. Leak likes to throw against zone defense, particularly when he has time to plant his feet and he can step into the throw. But there are a lot of seams.
And what they're doing is isolating against the linebackers, even in zone, and they love that matchup, wide receiver on linebacker.
Andre Caldwell in motion. They'll hand it off on first down to Wynn. Stiff arms one tackler, and right behind him is Malcolm Jenkins. Colston got stiff arm. That gives you an idea how strong Wynn is. Let's go downstairs to Chris Myers.
On the Buckeye bench top, Jim Haycock, the defensive coordinator of Ohio State, had huddled the defense after the last series, reminding them that no matter what formation or who takes the snap for Florida, stay with fundamentals, he said. Stay sound. One of the coaches said, don't let the frosting get in the way of the cake you're trying to eat.
Great stuff. Second down 11. They drop it off to Harvin, and he is slammed down into 35. So a big third down upcoming for the Florida offense. And coach, you believe a big third down for the Ohio State defense. Touchdowns tonight for the Gators, thanks in large part to field position and Ohio State penalties. A touchdown throw to Dallas Baker, the option to Harvin, and the 2-yard plunge from Wynn. Third down and 5.
Keep an eye on number 7 against the linebackers. Matched up against linebackers.
Leak floats it over the middle. Catch made by Baker, and another Florida first down.
You know what's most impressive about what they're doing right now is that their wide receivers are truly fearless. They do not mind working the inside seams of the defense. And this young man, Dallas Baker, he was a guy that, frankly, Urban Meyer didn't think he was going to make it very long with him. He called him into his office and called him a clown. Said, your teammates are laughing at you. You need a better work ethic. The kid took the words to heart, and by God, he graduated already and has become one of their key performers.
Leak on first down from his own 43. And looking for the big ball. His arm got deflected, and he sails out of bounds. Vernon Golston along with David Patterson, both right there. It looked like Patterson made contact with Leak.
That's the first pressure that Ohio State has had thus far. Any pass, that's the first time
where they really put him down. A couple times he threw it away. But Tom, you called number 50's number a lot. It's increased in frequency in the last few plays. He's the guy that they compare to Will Smith, their great All-American on their championship team in 2002. They move him around, can do a variety of things with him, and he's really making his presence felt now.
Leak will spend a timeout. Play clock had gotten down inside of 5. 21-14 Florida. We still have 10:34 to play until halftime. Plus aboard, as you talked about, Charles. 5, 6, 7, and 8 making it happen.
All playmakers, and they're joined by number 81, Dallas Baker. He just has the misfortune of having a number that's not in sequence. He doesn't get the same mention.
He's their go-to guy.
Yes.
All season he's been a go-to guy.
Second down and 10 for Leak. Baker will be tackled for a loss of 1. Great coverage and a solid open field tackle by Malcolm Jenkins.
In the break, we talked about the lack of pressure we've seen thus far from Ohio State, but it's starting to pick up. Vernon Golston previously, there was pressure on Leak on that pass. What Ohio State wants, Jim Haycock, the defensive coordinator, wants is pressure from the front so he can play zone and not let those receivers get behind his defense.
He has stayed very patient.
3rd down and 12 for the Gators. And Ohio State get a stop. Throw, good coverage, incomplete, and for the first time tonight, the Florida Gators are forced to punt. Coach Alvarez, you said that's what Ohio State needed defensively.
They needed to stop now. They're, again, zone coverage. Excellent play by the linebackers. Bracketed it off. Laurinaitis all over it.
And not just that, they had coverage on the backside where Chris Leak wanted to throw the ball initially on the isolated one-on-one side. That took that away. He had to come back inside. Laurinaitis all over the play.
Anthony Gonzalez stands at his own 15. We'll see if Ted Ginn Jr. returns when the Buckeyes get the football on offense. Eric Wilbur, an outstanding punter for the Gators. And this one will roll through the end zone. Ohio State will get it after a 59-yard punt by Wilbur. He's one of the nation's best. Will Ted Ginn Jr. return? We'll know in a minute. Not looking real good right now for the Buckeye star.
Junior, left ankle injured. That's Olympic track star Butch Reynolds, the speed coach for the Buckeyes, working with him moments ago. His eyes watering. Ginn Sr. was told by the trainer they hope to get him in the game at some point. But right now, Ted Ginn Jr. not able to play and upset, stomping his feet on the bench, saying, I want to go in there. But the coach's decision now is to hold him off because of that ankle, Tom.
Great stuff, Chris. We thank you. And Troy Smith out of the I formation to throw on 1st down. Unbelievable protection. And it looked like he had to just get rid of it. Throws it away. Had an eye on Anthony Gonzalez. Boy, a rare breed in the college football world indeed is Anthony Gonzalez. Not only a sensational player, clutch receiver, but a 4.0 academic student who majors in philosophy and has said long after his football days are over, he plans on attending Stanford Law School. What an impressive young man he is.
The Florida coaches will tell you the best route runner as a football player. Student of the game.
Out of the shotgun, Smith rolling right. Finds Robisky, who's shoved to the ground, and that's an incomplete pass. Robisky dropped it.
I'm a little surprised by this series. Ohio State had success handing the ball off, moving the ball. Really, Florida hasn't stopped them in their I formation run game, and they went away from it. I thought they'd come right back to it.
Look at the coverage by number 30, Earl Everett. Right in the zone with Brian Robisky, and the big hit jars the ball loose. Now it's 3rd and long for the Buckeyes.
Ohio State 1 of 3 on 3rd downs thus far tonight. A 5-receiver set for the Buckeyes.
He may have to dart up through there if he gets pressure.
The ball appeared to be tipped at the line of scrimmage, and it sails incomplete. So after an Ohio State defensive stop, Florida forces a 3 and out.
Watch coming from the right side, number 94, Jarvis Moss, the hero of the South Carolina game, with 2 block kicks. They helped Florida win the game, put the pressure on Troy Smith.
Ohio State showed blitz and bailed out of it. Got an offensive line, the blocking scheme went away from it and turned Moss loose.
Yeah, everyone moving to the right side, opened up the left side for number 94, Jarvis Moss, and he took full advantage of it.
Paso, a low line drive kick fielded by James, who spins away from 1 tackle. And then is wrapped up. A great field position again for Florida. Starting this drive from their own 42, 44-yard punt, 7-yard return by James. Only on Fox. 9:04 to play until halftime. 4-year starter Chris Leak and the Florida Gators. A 7-point lead over #1 Ohio State. Hand it off to Wynn. Slips it to the outside. Still on his feet. A 5-yard carry. We brought up earlier Deshaun Wynn, an outstanding running back in the Cincinnati area at Reading High School. Jim Tressel came down to watch him twice in person. The 10 best players in the state of Ohio that year, Tressel got all of them except for Deshaun Wynn.
That's because Maurice Claret signed that year. And Deshaun Wynn wanted to be somewhere else. Looks like we might have, do we have 2 quarterbacks on the field now?
Yep. Leak under center and Tebow in the backfield. And now Leak will split left and Tebow will run it. Picks up a couple. Tripped up by Quinn Pitcock. A gain of 4. It brings up 3rd and 2.
It's interesting you brought up that recruiting class. Who was the last guy they signed? The last guy they took that year?
Troy Smith.
Troy Smith was the last one they took. Claret the first.
So much for recruiting rankings and services at times, right?
Urban Meyer, in fact, recruited Troy Smith to play at Bowling Green when he was the head coach there before leaving to Utah. 2 years there, and now his 2nd year at Florida.
Just 3 down linemen in again. They've done that the whole series, has Ohio State.
Leak rolls, still looking, throws, catch is good for a 1st down to his tight end Cornelius Ingram to the Ohio State 45.
How about that young man coming into this game? His last 4 ball games, he had 16 catches. Entering the South Carolina game, which was late in the year for them, yeah, he'd only had 1 catch on the season.
Yep.
So he has really, truly emerged, and he's a guy who's really bought in to the Urban Meyer way because he quit last year.
1 year ago.
He was done.
1 year ago.
He was finished. Some guys talked him out of it, and now he's coming along, and they think he's going to be really special.
They told us he'd be in the game plan today. Showing blitz.
Harvin inside the 40, down to the 37-yard line, and his play calling clearly keeping the Buckeye defense off balance.
You know what's also happening is we talk about missing tackles in the open field. I haven't seen that much of that with Ohio State, but what I have seen as we look at the numbers there in rushing yards and passing yards, what I have seen is that there's enough space when they catch the ball that they still have an opportunity to make 1 quick move and still get up the field and gain additional yardage.
That's about a 4-3 athlete in space with Laurinaitis, a linebacker.
No one's close enough to immediately put him down.
Harvin this time in motion, and they're going to get the ball in his hands once again, and plenty of daylight for Percy Harvin. And the freshman from Virginia Beach, Virginia, brings it down to the 20-yard line.
We've talked about the 3-man rush, but Ohio State's also playing with 3 linebackers. Watch to the right. Watch the blocks downfield. There, and up here by the receivers. That's going to clear some space for Percy Harvin to get upfield and gain additional yardage.
Charles, look, 5, 6, and 7.
Did we talk about those numbers?
But look at how they blocked. They're not just catching the ball. They're out there covering up defenders.
And they're not big guys, but they will stick their heads right into the numbers of the defenders.
Caldwell, they fake the handoff to him. And a dangerous throw by Lee. He had an eye on his fullback Latsko, but almost there to get it was Vernon Golston. Coach, let me ask you, if you're Ohio State, it's hard to find a lot of good so far in this first half, but you're only down 7. What are you thinking right now if you're that man?
I know right now. Jim Haycock is a conservative play caller, but he will heat it up and play man-to-man and blitz you from the 20-yard line in. But he's been very conservative.
Incompleted pass. Again, they have